You know they're going to look at you one day, tilt their heads and ask, "Why did you change?" And the irony? They won't even realize they're the reason. Oh, how it amuses me. The audacity of people who break you and then act surprised when they see pieces scattered on the floor. You used to be different, right? Softer, kinder. You had this naive glow about you, thinking the world played fair, that people had a heart buried somewhere under those thick layers of flesh. But then something snapped. They pushed, poked, and prodded until the pieces of your spirit that once glittered with innocence fell away, until the person they once knew was no longer the same. And now they'll wonder why. They'll look at you, not understanding how or why you became this person you are today. The one who doesn't let things slide. The one who no longer wears their heart on their sleeve. The one who has learned to guard their energy like the rarest treasure. They'll point fingers, mutter under their breath, and shake their heads, as if the version of you they see now is some inexplicable mystery. But the truth is simple, and it's the hardest truth you'll ever have to own. It was their actions that reshaped who you became. It wasn't you. It wasn't some inherent flaw in your character. It was them. There are people in your life who will leave scars. They won't do it because they hate you. They won't do it because they mean to hurt you intentionally. Some may not even know they're doing it, but they will. They'll push your buttons, test your limits, exploit your vulnerabilities. And over time, you'll find yourself in a place where you don't recognize who you've become. They will have chipped away at the parts of you that were too trusting, too open, too generous. They'll have taken pieces of you without ever asking, and those pieces will never quite come back the same. What you have to understand, what you must remember, is that this transformation, it's not a punishment. It's not a sign that you've failed. It's survival. You changed because you had to. You didn't choose it. It wasn't some calculated decision you made on a Tuesday afternoon. But somewhere along the way, you realized that the world wasn't as gentle as you once thought. You realized that not everyone deserves your love, your time, or your loyalty. You realized that some people only see you as a stepping stone to get to where they want to go. You realize that the world will take, and if you don't learn how to protect your spirit, it will strip you bare. And so, you built walls. At first, they were thin, flimsy. You didn't want to admit that you needed them. But with each scrape, each betrayal, each person who took more than they gave, those walls became sturdier, taller. You started to shield yourself from the toxicity, the lies, the manipulation. It wasn't that you stopped caring. It was that you learned to care about the right people, the right things. You stopped wasting your energy on those who never deserved it. You stopped letting people drain your energy just because they needed something from you. And let me tell you something. That is power. That is strength. That is wisdom. People will never understand how your kindness turned into guardedness. They'll never see how every boundary you've set, every distance you've kept, is a result of the way they pushed you to the edge. They'll never see the moments where you had to choose between your peace and their comfort. They'll never see the nights you stayed awake, replaying their words and actions in your mind, wondering if it was you who was too sensitive, too demanding, too much. And they'll never know that it wasn't about you. It was about them. The ones who have hurt you, the ones who have betrayed you, the ones who have belittled you, they won't see it. They won't know that you changed because you realized your worth. You realize that you don't have to tolerate mistreatment. You realize that the world may try to break you down, but you will always find a way to rise again. And when you do, you won't be the same. You'll be better, stronger, wiser, more resilient. But even with all that growth, there will still be those who don't understand. They will still want to know why you're no longer who you used to be, why you're no longer the person who would drop everything to help them, to listen to them, to take care of them. And you'll look at them and realize that they still haven't learned the most important lesson of all, that people grow, that people evolve, that people change. And sometimes that change is the only way to survive. Let's be clear. This doesn't mean you've become cold or heartless. This doesn't mean you've lost your ability to love or to care. It means that you've learned how to love and care wisely. It means that you've learned that love doesn't mean giving until you have nothing left to give. It doesn't mean letting others take without ever expecting anything in return. It means knowing when to give and when to walk away. It means knowing when to fight and when to let go. And it means recognizing that your peace is not negotiable. So, when they ask you why you changed, don't feel the need to explain yourself. Don't feel like you owe them an explanation for how you've learned to protect your heart. Don't let them make you feel guilty for putting yourself first. You owe them nothing. The truth is, you don't need to tell them why you changed. They'll figure it out, eventually. Because the ones who broke you will never forget the day they stopped getting the best version of you. You can be kind, you can be loving, and you can be empathetic, but you don't have to be a doormat. You don't have to be anyone's emotional punching bag. You don't have to bend over backwards for people who never had your back. And you certainly don't have to give people the benefit of the doubt when their actions have already shown you who they truly are. Some people will never realize that they were the ones who pushed you to the point of no return. They'll never understand how their words, their actions, their lack of consideration took you to the brink, and that's okay. You don't need them to understand. You don't need them to validate your feelings. All you need to know is this: you changed because you had to. You changed because you outgrew the version of you that was willing to accept less than you deserve. And that's not a weakness, that's a strength. You see, change is inevitable. We change every day, sometimes in ways we don't even notice. But the change that happens when you've been hurt, when you've been manipulated, when you've been taken advantage of, that's the change that shapes you into someone unrecognizable. People who used to be able to walk all over you will find that they can no longer do so. The people who used to drain your energy will find that your energy is no longer available to them. The ones who once believed they could break you will realize they can't. Because you've learned, you've grown, and you've risen above it all. You've learned that the world is not fair, but you've also learned that you are strong enough to face it, even when it feels like the weight of it is too much to bear. You've learned that not everyone who walks into your life deserves a place in it. You've learned that kindness is not a weakness, but a choice, and you no longer give it freely to those who don't earn it. You've learned that it's okay to walk away from people who don't deserve to be in your life, and that sometimes walking away is the bravest thing you can do. And here's the best part: you'll continue to evolve. You'll continue to change. Because this journey isn't about staying the same. It's about becoming better. It's about learning, growing, and evolving into the best version of yourself. Every experience, every heartbreak, every betrayal is a lesson. And as long as you keep learning, as long as you keep evolving, you will keep getting stronger. You will keep becoming the person you were always meant to be. So when they look at you with confusion and ask, "Why did you change?" smile, because they'll never know the truth. They'll never know the strength it took for you to become who you are. They'll never understand the journey that led you to the person you've become. But you will. You'll know that you changed because you had to, because you survived. And that, my friend, is the most powerful transformation of all. You've learned the hard way, but now you know your worth. And that's a change worth celebrating. In the end, The only thing that matters is that you did it for you. You didn't change because someone told you to, or because you wanted to fit in. You changed because you had no choice. You changed because you realized that in order to protect your peace, your heart, and your soul, you had to evolve. And that change was the beginning of something incredible. They'll wonder why you changed, but you already know the answer. It wasn't you, it was them.